One is just start talking to random people. The reason why that works, and whenever you're talking about state solutions, you want to understand the why. You understand the reason why you're doing it and not just do it, right? Because if you just do it, it becomes a crutch and then it'll stop working soon. And when it does, you won't have an idea of a new or different solution. And also won't work as well if you don't understand why. So the reasons why the approach all philosophy works are a few. One is you just are developing that social muscle, right? So when you're in a state of silence, it's very easy to stay in that state of silence. When you're in a state of like verbosity and talking, it's easier to stay in that state of verbosity. But other things that help are when you start talking to people and you start getting any kind of positive interaction or positive feedback, you start convincing yourself that the environment is like, that you have value in the environment and people like you, and that makes things easier. If you get a bad reaction and nobody kills you and there's no physical harm that comes to you, you start convincing yourself the environment is safe. What I personally do though, is I just change what I'm focused on. So instead of focusing on trying to make it work or trying to get the girl to like me, I'm focused on trying to learn something or trying to try something or practice something. And the reason that works for me is that no matter what I do, it's a success and it's learning, which is what I actually care about a lot more than the girl, right? So when I started in game, I wasn't very good with girls, but it was fun for me because I was better than I was yesterday, or I learned a new thing than I had yesterday, or I was a little better with approach anxiety than yesterday. And so seeing that progress is what kept me in game. So if when I go out, I'm practicing this one thing and I know I got some more experience, some more practice of that skill, that keeps me going, right? Or understanding that every single experience, if I can come out of the set and be like, this is what I learned from it, this is what I'm going to try next time out of it. If I explicitly notice that thing, note what is learned, note the growth, then that's what keeps me engaged and positive and motivated, because I know that if I continue growing, I will eventually have what I want. Yeah, for me, I'm deriving my enjoyment from playing the game the best I can. So I played sports my whole life. Yeah. If I had a choice, other than there's such a thing like a championship game where you just want to win, right? But for most of your games that you're going to play over the course of your athletic career, if I had a choice between going and playing an awful opponent and just crushing them and not practicing or learning any skills versus having a really hard fought tense game with a better opponent and being close and losing, I'd prefer to be close and lose because it's a test of my skill and I'm going to grow more from that experience. Right. So I treat game the same way. I prefer to game that difficult girl, game that difficult situation and learn from it and grow from it and maybe lose instead of gaming that way too easy situation and winning. And so I make what I'm looking for, my own personal growth and my own journey towards excellence, as opposed to did I win with this one particular girl. It's the same mentality as in sports, where it's like the best practice is not necessarily the practice where you win, right? But the key thing with all of these is to get the focus off of, I hope she likes me because my emotions are dependent on her liking me. That's the key thing with all these. And some is because you're self-amusing and don't care. Some is because you're distracting yourself. Some is because you're changing your focus to a more productive and self-motivated focus. But the whole thing is to get it off of the idea of caring about her response to you. Yeah. One other mentality is the long-term mentality. And this is I learned this from poker really, which is that no poker hand matters. Right? Because the cards are going to come bad for everybody, cards are going to come good for everybody. What you do in one hand doesn't really matter in your poker career. What does matter is what you do over years and years and years, right? You're going to play hundreds of thousands of hands, not one hand. Same thing, you're going to approach thousands of girls, not one girl. And so if you can really have that perspective that this is just one block in the wall and it's not the whole wall, that's very useful as well. So those are all different mentalities you can take. Yeah. The big thing though is find a way to find a positive out of every set, right? Every single set you should be like, this is what I learned out of it, this is what's cool about it, this is what's fun about it, this is what's funny about it. If you're doing that, that's going to keep you motivated a lot better.